Story 1. As a man, witnessing childbirth is honestly a stressful, chaotic marathon of emotions. Physically witnessing it is like nothing else I've ever experienced, messy and beautiful all at the same time. Story 2. True meditation. The ability to just hone in on nothingness and embrace it, letting it take all of your worries away. Bonus points for listening to the Skyrim soundtrack or Lord of the Rings soundtrack while doing so. Story 3. Being young and attractive, even if it's all just makeup, Spanx, and a good wig or hairstyle, people treat you differently when you're conventionally attractive. Life's just a little better. When I was younger and didn't have so many health problems before genetics truly set in, and I do my makeup, wear my hair really nice, wear heels and a nice outfit, people would hold doors open for me and smile at me when we passed by each other. I've been given things for free by shop owners and farmers market stands. Even being flirted with felt good when I think back on it. Now I've aged, had children, my health problems have gotten the better of my mind and body, and I look back on my younger self in envy. I took it for granted. I spent a long time feeling not good enough, not pretty enough, and trying to be so perfect that I didn't even realize how good I already had it. Now I don't even get a second glance. I'm either invisible or people go out of their way to be unkind to me. In fact, I notice people trying to look away quickly before making eye contact when I try to smile to avoid interacting with me. Everyone should experience being beautiful at least once in their lifetime. Story 4. This may sound odd, but a perfect compliment is rare. Everyone receives many compliments in their life, but often they are shallow, false, forced, simply being nice, consoling, generic, widely applicable, prompted, or unintentionally patronizing. However, there are very few occasions where someone says something with no reason for mentioning it other than the moment of recognition, without expecting a reward on something personal to you with such sincerity, and without knowing they were reaffirming something you were proud of, yet nobody else had complimented you on it before. Story 5. Having a decent or good job and being fired, nothing will change the way you look at a job again. It happened to me 25 years ago, and I never put the job before family or friends again. Story 6. Sunkron, the Thai New Year in April, is literally a nationwide squirt gun fight. I avoid it now, lived there 7 years, but it's awesome the first time or two, water waste guilt notwithstanding. Story 7. Stepping out of one's comfort zone. To use easy examples, if you're not keen on lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer, go to a gay bar. If fearful of Muslims, go to a mosque. Scared of heights, go up a tall building. Story 8. Flying first class on a flight where they serve a meal. The extra legroom and comfortable seats, along with the other perks, are a nice treat when you usually fly in coach. Check for upgrade discounts offered a few days before your departure. Story 9. Community service, such as volunteering at an animal shelter, cleaning up the beaches, shores, parks, reading to kids in public libraries, planting trees, etc. Story 10. True love. The feeling you have while cuddling with the one and feeling as if the bodies are in the way of a soul-to-soul connection. That sensation of safety, like you just arrived home after a long trip. That feeling of immense passion, which is like having flames around your body. That madness that makes life worth living. I am in love. Story 11. Sex. I don't think any adult should die a virgin. Not everyone experiences love, joy, or happiness. Sex is close to those three things. It provides a similar feeling when done correctly, or at least ecstasy. Story 12. A world with no needs, child beaters, slavery, violence, religion, politicians, starvation, painful loud noise, forced sleep deprivation, humiliation, helplessness, poverty, nursing homes, group homes, psychiatric medications, jail, cancer, chemotherapy, rabies, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. Story 13. Not able to reason, question, cry, or pray their way out of something, but they make it through and discover that although they do not have total power, they do have some power. Health, happiness, freedom, peace, and friendships. Sorry, but some folks have always been able to question, reason, and find their way out of everything at other people's expense. And it shows. Story 14. Hunter. We live in times where it's virtually impossible not to have something to eat or to not find anything that can be eaten. While it isn't the best feeling ever, I think real hunger changes your thinking quite a bit. A lot of people I know who experienced hunger are less likely to go on shopping sprees or just overspend, which in this day is one of the most strange, normalized behaviors in people. Story 15. Buy a test kit to make sure it is actually methylenedioxymethamphetamine. That's important these days. Take it with a friend, a loved one, or with a plant in a happy place. Story 16. Pooping your pants by accident as an adult is a really humbling experience. Bonus humility points if you're around other people when it happens, and you have to awkwardly walk away pretending everything is okay and you didn't just soil yourself. I was really sick with COVID-19, and it happened to me. It was awful, and I think all of my ego evaporated in that moment. Story 17. Have their hardworking, honest efforts bring them success, rewards, and victory 90% of the time. But occasionally, they work really hard doing their absolute best, but fail and feel a bit rejected, so they have proper understanding, respect, compassion, and forgiveness for the other people who are also sometimes unable to do something. Story 18. Work in the food industry. So many family members have told me my job must be such a cushion to lean on compared to their office work, but they have no idea how little it takes to become pure hell. Story 19. Intimacy with a person you love, who loves you. Overcoming a great obstacle in life, such as depression or general hardships, will challenge you. Discovering a passion. Story 20. A very large protest. It's interesting to see it yourself and then see how the news cherry picks it for their narrative. Even if you just go to observe, everyone should see one. Story 21. Skydiving. Hear me out. Most people are terrified of skydiving. Most people will never voluntarily confront something that truly terrifies them in their entire life. I think there's something to learn about yourself by forcing yourself to do something you're terrified of doing. You learn that scary stuff isn't as scary as it seems. The anticipation is worse than the thing itself. You learn that you're capable of doing stuff you previously thought impossible. All of a sudden, the world is a much bigger place with far fewer limitations. Story 22. I think everyone should spend 5 years dirt broke so everyone would try to help others gain worth versus only a few having it and everyone fighting for scraps. I'm not saying everyone should get good stuff after the 5 years, but a lot of well-off people never struggled, so they think those who are struggling are doing so because of bad choices and such. I know a lot of people who have struggled because of their parents or whatever, and some are never able to get back up because family stuff happens or they get into an accident because the job they work for is too cheap for proper safety. But if you don't do it, then someone else will. I don't know. I've never had money and probably never will because if I have it and you need it, I'm probably going to give it to you depending on the situation and stuff. Story 23. I am going to get hate from this, but heartbreak. I didn't like it and I am sure no one does, but it really opens your eyes and usually causes a person to change, often for the better but sometimes for the worse. Story 24. I did 40 days of Lent without sugar, meat or animal derivatives, sex, and alcohol abstinence, and it was mystical. It was 7 years ago, and I have had no alcohol since, became vegan 5 years ago, and have been training since. It's a great midlife experience. Story 25. A month living off the grid. No utilities, cell phone or internet. Power by solar or less. Maybe not even a full month. I think 2 weeks would do people a world of good. Story 26. Accountability. Fairness. While not hugely rewarded for every bit of good behavior, bad behavior is never rewarded. Good behavior is never hindered, questioned, or punished. Story 27. Having an excellent full-time career doing important, meaningful, and useful work in an important, honorable, and successful place full of smart, skilled, kind, brave, useful, open-minded, and future-focused people. Then doing fun activities on their days off. Story 28. Fact-checking the news. My American college wouldn't allow us to source American news because American news doesn't provide sources. An undisclosed trusted news source isn't an actual source. The greatest thing to learn, in my opinion, has been that life is way better knowing the news is pure propaganda. I also retired before 30 because of this. Story 29. Speaking their mind even when it's not advantageous to do so. If something seems wrong and it might get you in trouble for speaking your mind, You will more likely than not feel better in the long run if you basically tell them to go pound sand by defending what you believe is right versus trying to play the games expected of you to avoid conflict. I just picked an argument with a moderator on a subreddit 2 minutes ago because they claimed to be a support group but literally told me I can't offer any opinions or thoughts that aren't validating what the original poster already feels and thinks. Like, how do you support someone by lying or letting them believe in lies? It's more of a group where you just watch people get validated for driving towards a cliff, and then when they drive off, say it's a shame and keep rooting for the next person to drive towards the cliff. Story 30. Either the military or a very busy kitchen. I come from a military family, and I became a chef. The stories of camaraderie in both the military and busy professional kitchens are very similar, especially the banter. Story 31. Failure and rejection, along with the external impulses that it's okay to fail, emphasize that the important part is getting up and moving on. Too many people have never learned what it means to fail. It's always not their fault. It's always unfair. Deal with it, princess. Get up, set your crown straight, and move on, knowing that you've gathered new experiences to do better next time. Story 32. Slipping in a crack in the bureaucracy where you do not meet any criteria, so your progress is blocked. This quickly teaches you how disorganized bureaucracy is, how little they care, and how powerless you really are, and might just change your mind about how good government is. Story 33. Volunteer at the palliative care ward in a hospital or a hospice. Really puts perspective on your own life and problems when you see and hear people who have a terminal illness or are dying. Life is short and uncertain. Cherish your loved ones and be a kind human. Everyone is fighting their own battles and looking for happiness. Story 34. If you're able, moving away from your hometown or state, whether it's for college, temporary traveling, a long road trip, or permanently moving away, even if you end up moving back, will be the best thing you'll ever do. Story 35. Traveling alone. There's something incredibly empowering about exploring a new place on your own terms. It forces you out of your comfort zone, helps you learn more about yourself, and makes every little discovery feel like a personal victory. Story 36. Gratitude for being alive. And I don't mean it like after a near-death experience. I'm talking about the epiphany you get doing the simplest task or after a bad day. The sudden realization of being alive and being able to feel however you're feeling at the moment is something everyone should experience and be grateful for. Story 37. A fight of some sort. Not necessarily a street fight, but one in a closed ring or octagon. Everyone thinks that they will handle themselves well in a fight, but actually being an amateur at boxing or mixed martial arts reveals a lot about oneself. Story 38. When I was a kid, going out in the rain in my swimsuit was the best. It shocked me as I got older to learn not many kids did that. Definitely think everyone should go out in the rain in their swimsuit. Just be sure to run a hot bath for when you get inside to warm up. Story 39. Privacy, feeling safe and protected. Away from abuse, anxiety, and stress. Peace of mind, feeling seen. These may seem simple, but they are really not. People go their whole lives without experiencing love from anyone. Story 40. Working in retail or the restaurant industry. People treat others with such disrespect because they can't imagine themselves being on the receiving end. Story 41. Voluntarily overcome hardships and struggles that help them realize they are stronger than they thought, either mentally or physically. By voluntarily, I mean go through boot camp, lose weight, finish school, get good at math, etc. Story 42. I might sound very controversial, but it's war. It's such a humbling experience to make people able to think about the consequences of their actions, their contributions, their values and goals. Journeys to question privilege, accountability, the globalized violence, and to test endurance, true solidarity, and conscience. Story 43. Kind of severe but a decent medical emergency. I had a spontaneous pneumothorax 3 times in 1 year and had video-assisted thoracic surgery the 3rd time to prevent it. Learning to get your breath back and not be in fear that at any moment you could be back in the hospital with a long recovery makes you really appreciate life and the little things. 3 years after, now I'm feeling normal again with anxiety from it, of course. I sing in a band, and the idea of not being able to sing while your lungs crackle when you breathe makes me really appreciate all I have now. It's 4 a.m., so I hope this makes sense. Story 44. One of those horrific cocktails that people say, don't do this. Like the White Gilgamesh, a mix of goat milk and some lightly carbonated beer or sparkling water. Lighter carbonation results in something tasting a bit like sourdough bread, while heavier carbonation will taste like instant spoiled milk. Story 45. Being at peak or a high level of fitness, putting in a hard but sustainable effort, and just flying while running, cycling, or swimming without your heart feeling like it's going to explode. Story 46. Going to a movie or a restaurant alone, essentially anything that is traditionally associated with being a social activity, opens up your world internally. You become more comfortable in your own skin, rid yourself of the fear of judgment, and develop the freedom to do something at your own time and pace. Want to go to a movie but a friend is busy? You can go by yourself now. Want to try out this restaurant you discovered on Instagram? Well, there's nothing stopping you now. Doing public things by yourself allows you to immerse in ways that doing with a group or someone else just cannot.